Mr. Danesha Perera has a distinguished career of over 42 years, holding senior management positions such as Group Director, Director, Assistant Vice President in leading multinational and Sri Lankan blue-chip organizations such as Ceylon Paint Industries Pvt Ltd, Reckitt Colman of Ceylon, Amico Group of Companies, MAS Holdings, Aitken Spence Hotel Management, Aitken Spence Exports, and Laugfs Holding Pvt Ltd. Currently, he is holding the position as Chairman, Managing Director of DANfinity Pvt Ltd. He is a professional, academic, consultant, trainer, lecturer, visionary team player and a versatile all-round sportsman who has gained the reputation for highest integrity and experience in multidisciplinary organizations. He is a fellow member of the Institute of Supply and Materials Management and is also an old boy of Richmond College Gaol. He has also held esteemed positions such as President of the Institute of Supply and Materials Management and Vice President of the Organization of Professional Associations. In recognition of his service to the industry, he was bestowed with the Garner Themian International Award for 2012 from the International Federation of Purchasing and Supply Chain Management of United Kingdom at the World Congress held in 2012 in Toronto, Canada.
We warmly welcome Mr. Danesha Perera to the VIP chamber. When you look back at your childhood and life as a teenager, what was your ambition and was it the same as what you currently are?
Our childhood was different, and the ambitions were there, but we were never had over ambitions. So we were more into our freedom of studying, playing, and so many things. As you know, today we are on the subject of leadership. I will explain to you. There are people who are doing well in the society. The ambitions for them, if you ask them at the initially, they never expected to be a business leader or a CEO or managing director or something like that. So they were not over-ambitious, but they had ambitions. Even during our time, people used to ask us, what would you like to be? I think if I remember, I want to be an engineer because I was more on, breaking and making things at home. So that was my childhood. And if I explain a little bit more, we never had competition at our childhood. And we never had pressure from the parents. And we were fortunate not to have tuition. And we were not influenced to the TV or internet or any other email or something like these webcams or WhatsApp or something like that. So our schooling time was a little bit different to the people, young children today. We had studies, definitely. I was doing well in the school and I was in the hostel. I studied at Richmond Gaol. I'm from Moratuwa. My father was doing planting in Ratnapura, so I ended up doing studies at Richmond Gaol, from Colombo to all the way to Gaol. And end up, hostel was my stay, and we never had bigger ambitions in hostel. The main ambition was to play, and and did the studies, and did a lot of sports in my schooling days. We had hobbies. we had leisure time. And if I may enlighten you, because you all are young, proud, most of the young whom I have seen in the industry doesn't have a hobby, no leisure time. So the ambitions were not very big, but of course, my ambition, I remember vaguely telling that to be an engineer. But with sports and time changes, things change to a mercantile executive, end up in a higher position. Ambitions are good, but over ambitions are not so good. Child needs to grow independently because they have their talents, they have their hidden interest. Parents and teachers shouldn't force children to do anything.
Did you have a role model in life, and who had you looked up to for inspiration? Why and how did this person impact your life?
I think I met so many important people in the young days, but the most importantly, it was my parents. My father, who did planting, and he was amazing guy, and my mother, both of them. And my father, had a lot of good qualities, and he was managing a estate, so he was a management guru. He had no supervision, nothing on any other person behind, so his integrity was highest level. And he was an agriculturist, geologist, surveyor, architect, being a planter, irrigation engineer, everything is in with them. So I think that gave me a lot of skills from him. And in fact, he had a very thorough knowledge on automobile, and he was a good driver. Today, I'm driving on the road safely because of him, and he had a lot of things to say. And he was never a 100% democratic person. His role was, more on democratic plus on autocratic. So he had mix of qualities, and I'm sure you must be knowing even Bill Gates of Microsoft and Steve Jobs. They are supposed to be autocratic leaders. So I think it worked to a certain extent, but they were never 100% autocratic leaders. He was a decision maker. He planned, he acted, he made corrections, and he did everything by on his own. So I was so taken by this, and most importantly, his integrity was very good, and he was a tough person. I think tough means he was a very good disciplinarian. So he never tolerated the wrong things, and he always advised us. And he was a good father more than anything. My mother was having a lot of qualities because she was a good cook, and sewing, and batiks and a lot of things. I mean, she was a multitask person. So she was an amazing person in my life who gave us a lot of. And the teachers also impressed us. They were very disciplined teachers at that time. They taught us the rights and wrongs. They were never behind money. And in the hostel, we learned a lot of things. And I'm just mentioning few people who made us correct. And when it comes to sports, the coaches, master in charge, they gave us the right quality advice, how to act. In fact, the teachers, when we were in hostel, we were very disciplined. So the role model, if you ask me to narrow down the answer, my father and mother. My father was one of the best role models that I had. So I still don't like, using anybody else's money, anybody else's assets.
What do you believe are the main attributes and values that you used in order to get where you are today?
See, in my first job, I was in a factory as a training guy, and with a short time, I was appointed as acting production manager. That happened because my factory manager left, my production manager left. They had to appoint someone good. I had seniors, but they appointed me as acting production manager. So you ask me what attributes and values I used. So I was a self-learner, committed for the job, 100% committed, and 100% loyal, dedicated. I tried everything. In fact, in my small days, I still remember innovating things, never stopped by issues. I had some words in the factory. I ultimately became production manager and acting factory manager. And I say, don't use no, tomorrow, raining, sunshine. Those words were not prohibited with me. Always try to do what I could do. No boundaries. It is my area. I was going beyond limits, beyond boundaries. So that was something that is very important that I told you. And some of the main characteristics to be a good leader is integrity. As I told you, the integrity is a priceless thing, something that you can't value. And the whole factory was under me. Chairman never bothered to see whether his assets are there because it was 100% secured. I think it was secured more than for him. So discipline was another thing. And the other two areas are the knowledge and skills. So to date, I have collected some knowledge. I would like to mention to you to inspire you. I have worked in the areas of operations, production, plant management, materials management, supply chain, project management, inventory management, warehouse, international business, import and exports. Naturally, you become a human resource manager when you work with people. Training and development, health and safety, certain other areas like subcontract manufacturing, software implementation, tendering. These are the areas that I have gained knowledge. And I was learning this on, independently, on subject, on the book, as well as on practical. Skills, of course, you have a lot of skills you need to develop. I had a lot of skills. You have to be a logical thinker, excellent, conceptual and analytical skills. You have to challenge the processes, current processes. You have to be an innovator, creative person, focus on continuous improvements. I never stopped for anywhere that, I knew everything and I never thought, even today, I'm learning. Communication skills, training, excellent motivator, negotiator, and I manage very well. I'm very happy, and I was a tough person, but I was a people's man, team builder, management consultant, and I did a lot of counseling for people. That came also from my system. I had never studied counseling, but I have done a lot of counseling. And finally, to answer your question, the attitudes, that goes beyond limits. You have to have your beliefs, values, and positive thinking, and There are some motivational factors if you correct your attitudes. So these are some of the things you must be knowing, that attitudes play a major role when it comes to skills and knowledge.
How do you ensure that you continue to grow and develop as an individual and as a leader?
To become a leader, you have to inculcate a lot of qualities. It's not like, you need to be a visionary, you need to be a strategist, you need to be assertive, and you have to be a quick learner, quick decisions, right? You have to be more than anything artistic and creative, right? And in the factories, I used to ask whether they have those, even the workers, even the junior people, they need to have those things. And you need to be open-minded. You should be, you should adapt to the situations, and you should be optimistic and precise. And always you should have the liking to change, not your idea. You must get ideas from the team and get ready to change. And then strategic decision making. There are situations to make decisions. Can-do attitude. You must have self-confidence. If you don't have self-confidence, it's rather difficult to be a good leader. You should be organized, disciplined, courageous, and thoughtful, and flexibility, and you should be also athletic. Physically you should be fit. If you are not fit physically, you will not be able to perform your duties to the best of your ability. So determination, you should be energetic, and you should be a good communicator. What to tell, what time to tell, whom to tell, how to tell, and how to put things across to your team members. So to be a good leader, develop as an individual to an efficient and effective leader. See, your team must accept you as a leader, and for that you need to inculcate the qualities that I already mentioned to you. So by doing so, they look for your advice, and they have confidence in you, and they will do things better when you are around, because they know that you will be the teacher, coach for them. In fact, staff get little demotivated when a good leader is not available in the office. It is not the case of all the leaders. Some staff says, today the boss is out of the office, so we have fun. But if you are a good leader, they will miss you.
How do you manage to keep yourself and your team motivated despite challenges and when the ships are down?
See, I'm with 42 years industry experience. I'm very much elderly person. So, taken thousands or millions decisions. The decision has to be taken right and quickly. That's why I said the sports made people good leaders, convert good young people to good leaderships, since they learn from the sports. You said good decisions. I came to my mind when a bowler is bowling, that from the time the ball released from the hand, the batsman has to take a decision whether he has to play front foot, back foot, drive, in the off, or on, or hook, or cover drive, or whatever. And can you see how fast that decision has to be made? So in my life, I have taken so many decisions like that. So it came to now it comes to came to my mind to give you this example for you to get motivated, how you can take decisions by analyzing in logical way. There was a time that I was working for a large company as a director, and the contractor delivered the timber to the site, and due to the due to the pressure from the top management, the owners, the junior management rejected the timber, saying it's not up to the quality of expectation. So I was watching this situation since I was all, and my colleague asked me, "Can you help me?" I said, "Okay." This is a little bit a longer story. I'm making it short. So I went to the site to see 60 to 70% timber is good. So I said, select and use the 70%. And I showed them how. And I came back. Contractor was very happy because he was so sad that he had to pay this. And I'm talking about, 30, 40, 50, 60 containers of timber. Right? That day I decided that I should design buying timber for this industry. And this industry consumes so much timber. The timber that buy in the process is very high quality, has to be high quality because it gets wet and so many things. So I had to design a process. And from the identification of sourcing, identification of need, then sourcing, sampling and testing, tendering, negotiations, order placing. When placing orders, the terms and conditions, and sample submissions by the supplier, inspection of the timber at the mill by a consultant, on what criteria the timber to be checked for species, that is the type of the timber, size, the width, height, length, moisture level, cracks, and finally the quantity. So the final certificate is given by the official who goes with the consultant to the mill for shipping. And this process by me, and I almost had so much of grievances from the guys who handled this process in the past. They must have lost the income. They must have lost the opportunity of taking decisions. They must have, planned certain procurement of timber. These things all came to stop, and company benefited billions of dollars. And by this, not only money-wise, The timber that we bought could be used for 25, 30, 40 years.
What is one characteristic that you believe every leader should possess to succeed?
Leader cannot be a leader with one characteristic. It is a lot of things. And since you asked me a good leader, it came to my mind when I was learning on theory. We were taught there are two types of leaders. One is learned leaders, other one is born leaders. So the born leaders have natural talent. The learned leaders, they learn from the book. Both are good. And I'm sure that some of these born leaders have kickstart before the learned leaders. So that is one thing that I can tell you. But to answer this question from a little bit of in a wider manner, I will show you what is leader and what is boss. Now, leader is in front, boss push you from behind, and leader lead by examples, boss give instructions, and leader makes confidence, boss creates a little bit of fear. Leader asks questions, but boss knows everything. Leader always try to create leaders. Boss create followers. Their followers. Leader is having a career. Boss is having a job. Leader share the blame. Boss share the credit. Leader encourage, but sometimes boss discourage. Leader shows how to do. Boss tells what to do. Respects, earn respects. Boss demands respect. Leader depends on staff naturally. Boss depends on hierarchy. Leader advise, boss criticize. But can't the boss be a good leader? Yes. A good leader can be a good boss. Bad leader is not a good boss. To make that statement. A good leader can be a good boss. Bad leader is not a good boss. So that's something that is very important. To go on a few other points, characteristics. Leaders have the vision, the strategies, lead by examples, management by exception, decisions taking, motivating, controlling, communicating, and he has to be a good listener, must have patience, can-do attitude, team player, feedback, recognition of the good work, inspiring, rewarding.
As a leader, you must have made thousands of important decisions in your career. Out of them, what is the decision that you think is the best you've made?
Okay. So as I told you that there are born leaders and learned leaders. Now, you are talking about role models. There are role models. There are best leaders in the world. If I may say, two best without contradicting, Buddha and Jesus Christ. They are good leaders. There are so much of people follow these two role models. And leadership is a brand. You are creating a good brand image. So the brand has few characteristics. It should be unique, the value should be very high, the personality has to be high, good, the culture of this person has to be high, must have a good identity, competitiveness should be there. You cannot be a leader if you are not a competitive person. So it is not easy to become efficient and effective leader without inculcating the qualities of a leader. Try to learn, that is continuous improvement on things that we have been discussing in the past few minutes. The brand building cannot be done overnight. It will be done for a period of time. If you do it properly, it's faster. If you do it poor, the brand image will go down. Understand your leadership styles to do that. You must understand your strengths and weaknesses and assess your skills, and you need to improve whatever the weak areas. The continuous improvement on leadership skills are very, very critical. More than anything, you should be technically proficient in having good leadership. In my case, I have done about 5 or 6 jobs. No job is related to the other 5. So, technical proficiency is very important. You should be technically sound, and you must passionate on what you are doing. It's not you are doing a job, right? You have to have likings and be positive and always try to innovate. Take responsibility on your activities. Finally, you must love your job. If you don't love your job, then you should leave the company. When I joined one big company, the guy who was there for 18 years or something like that is always complaining. I said, what the hell, you work for 18 years after complaining? So no point.
What advice would you give someone stepping into a leadership position for the first time?
Now, I answered certain few questions of yours, and I said some of the business leaders in the country and in the world are not highest qualified education in education. They are all-rounders. So, fortunately, or whatever the reason, they were given certain leadership qualities in the field of sports, other activities, and extra in the society as well as in the school. I'm sure anyone who is coming out from universities, they have theoretical knowledge. So, I guess so, right? With that, you cannot become a good leader unless you inculcate certain things I have already told you. And also, to brief you once again, you need to be a practical person. The common sense that in the normal, also some of the young doesn't have professional exposure. The professional exposure is very important, and some of the qualities that you have to inculcate in the industry is coming after you come out from the university. So your interaction with professionals, learning new things, and following your good qualities of your role models. In my case, it was my father. I always thank my father for giving me a lot of insights. So the youth today need to focus on things that I have already mentioned in our discussions in the beginning, and also what I have said during this time.
What are the qualities that you see in general that are lacking among the today's youth in Sri Lanka for leadership?
Every person has weaknesses. Everyone, including me. So, how do you understand your weaknesses? Do you want somebody else to come and tell you? No. You must do a self-assessment and make necessary adjustments to your life to improve. Then your skills and knowledge on the subject is very important. What you learn in the university is good, but when you come out in the corporate world, there are so much of things to learn. You have to adapt to the situations, and you have to change the decisions taken. So your knowledge and the skills what matters. So you need to do a self-assessment and build on those skills. Example came to my mind, when I did my production, I understood that I cannot be a white collar man. Anyway, production manager is not a white collar person. I always go, put my hand, and I work with people. I work in the machine with people. Then I found that there are special skills I need to develop to run this company without any issues. Example is boiler operator job. So I found that this boiler operator's job is so important that he controls the services room, where the chill water, processed water, steam, and so many things, power is given to the plants. So the plant managers depend on the services given by this skilled man. I took a decision to obtain the boiler license. So I went to training period along with another few junior supervisors and few workers. I took the license for all of them, including me, to operate the boiler. Now this is one example I can tell you. So switching on to attitudes, you must do again self-assessment and see where I am going wrong. If you are going wrong in a particular area, you should immediately take action to put you right, since attitudes are much more important than skills and knowledge. It can ruin your whole career. You can also get involved with group activities so that you can become a team player. You can get involved with professional associations and work with your seniors.
Finally, what do you have to say to budding undergraduates in order for them to improve their professional value and to build their corporate image?
You have to be a logical thinker. Most importantly, you have to be a generous person. And to conclude, I think our discussions, a simple definition on leadership is art of motivating a group of people.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining with us. And what is your review on our program?
Okay, I'm impressed about what you are doing today as young undergraduates. I am really taken up the interest that you all have taken during this COVID-19 period. And I am very much impressed with the background of your guys.